Hello, everyone. Welcome to the latest episode of Cheap Shot Culture with myself, Phil Taylor, and my good friend, Mr.
Bob Bricks.
That's the one. Just checking that you remembered your name, mate.
I think I know it.
Also, we may have a special guest that may pop in every now and again during this episode. Bob, would you like to explain?
Yeah, so my wife's currently in bed with a banging headache. So normally I do this in my loft.
Yeah.
But I'm away from them, and now I can't because she's in bed. So he's currently in the room next door to me because I'm in my kitchen watching Spider-Man. So he could come in at any point. I'm sure the world would like to see him, but currently I've been able to put him out in the living room.
That's fine. No problem at all. It'd be good to see little Fred.
Yeah.
Fred the Red, dressed like a dad.
Fred the Red, dressed like King of the Hill.
All right, fine. So we've not done a football video for a while, so we decided that today's would be about just like a general overview of the transfer window so far. Signings that's been made, prospective signings that's in the pipeline, and the chances that it gives the buyers for the forthcoming season, really. Do we start with United first, or do you want to do it at the end, or
I think should we hit our club at the end?
Okay,
and we can touch on other people. So I don't know if you just want to start with maybe Arsenal, with the signing of Ben White
for 50 million.
50 million for Ben White, yeah.
Does somebody want to explain that to me? Because I don't. I know we just said that we'll leave United to the end, but when you think that we've just signed a multiple World Cup, multiple European Cup winner and the World Cup winner for 41 million,
yeah,
to sign.
It's a difficult one because, like, there's two things that play into this. One, he's 23 years old, so if he stays at Arsenal for the rest of his life and the rest of his career, then and he performs to a top level, then they probably get the money's worth. And I think the other thing that has a big impact like that, and I think we've seen that throughout the year, is the fact that he's English, and we see this with young English stars that the clubs put extra money on top of them because they are English.
Yeah.
However, I think if he didn't get picked for the England Euros team, they're not signing him.
Did he play?
I don't think he did either.
Yeah, I mean, there's no doubting that he's a good player,
Yeah.
but I just don't. I mean, I don't think anybody's worth mega bucks, and I certainly don't think Ben White's worth 50 million euros. But I guess if you do take into account his age, I mean, how far into his contract with Brighton was he? Maybe there was a few years left to buy out and all that kind of stuff. So I don't know. I just think it's a lot of money for a relatively unproven player, really.
Yeah, and like I say, it'd be interesting because, you know, I think, like you said, the fact that we've seen other people, other clubs buy players for certain prices that may be lower than that. I don't know. I'd have to see it, but you know what? It's what they need. David Luiz leaving. They need some strength in the back line.
Yeah.
Do I feel that's where they need to strengthen? Probably, but I think there's other areas, so like maybe a new right back, because I know not everyone's a big fan of Hector Bellerin, and they've got a fantastic left back in Kieran Tierney. So yeah, they do need to strengthen that back line. I think Arsenal over the past 2 years have really struggled on the transfer market. I think probably the worst thing I've seen, and maybe on paper at the time it wasn't that bad, but performance-wise since, we're selling Martinez to Sevilla, the goalkeeper.
Yeah.
It's probably the worst thing that they've done, but I think if Ben White can do the job and perform well, then it adds to adds to a back line that they do need to strengthen. So hopefully for Arsenal fans, it's a decent signing for them. But on paper, for me, probably not the best.
It's a big season for Arsenal, I think, particularly obviously like for Arteta as well. They're nowhere near where they need to be. But everybody talks about United being so far away from like City and the other team, who I don't want to mention, but I have to because we're not biased. Liverpool.
We're not biased. No,
we're not biased. Maybe a little bit,
just slightly.
But Arsenal definitely is. They're so mid-table now, and that's just not. If you think about like the last few seasons of the Prem, when Ferguson was there and Wenger was at his peak, and all of the battles that we had with Arsenal, them pipping the league from us, coming back from 12 points behind. They're so far away from that team now. And I do genuinely feel it's a little bit of a shame because I always enjoyed watching Arsenal play. I don't anymore. They are so very much a mid-table team now. It's a big season, and I do hope that they do well, just not as well as us, obviously. But yeah, we'll see what other signings that they make.
So I'm just having a quick look now because I've got every signing that every club's made so far.
Cool.
And to be fair, the other ones that they've got are just a few loanees and a youngster signing his professional contract. So it'll be interesting to see how they get on. But like I say, they're so far behind. They need a lot more.
They do. Just a bit of stability, really. I think similar to what. Similar to what we've had to do in a way. Cool.
We've got Aston Villa. So, and you know what? There's 3 signings that Aston Villa have made like quite big signings. They've signed Leon Bailey from Bayer Leverkusen.
Yeah.
Who I remember from I think FIFA. I thought he would have retired by now. I don't remember what FIFA it was. Ashley Young joining back at Villa.
Signing that for Villa.
Yeah, and then Buendia from Norwich, who had a fantastic season last season.
He's a good player.
They've done well, invested well.
Clearly spending the Grealish money.
Yeah, before he goes. My biggest worry for Aston Villa, because I'm looking at this now, and there's another three signings on top of that, and some of them are loans and stuff like that. But my biggest worry is when clubs sign like 7 or 8 players in one season. You see it, throughout the years when a club does that, they struggle a little bit.
Well, to be fair to Villa, I think they did that when they came up.
Yeah.
And it actually worked out okay for them. Obviously, they had Grealish was the one that sort of like pulled them through. But they've got a makings of a good side there that can stay in the Prem for quite a long time. I think they need to keep hold of Grealish.
Well, on the subject of Grealish, does he stay or does he go?
He'll go.
Okay.
Villa's not going to turn down 100 million for him. But I think I don't think it's the right move for him. Not yet. Anyway.
No. So for me, I agree, and this is nothing. This is me being unbiased because that's what we are. And this is nothing against City in general, not like the club. It's just the amount of players they have. And we've had this conversation separately, which is if he signs for Manchester City, which massive respect for Jack Grealish, by the way. And we'll get on to Harry Kane in a minute. The way he's actually dealing with Aston Villa at the moment, still turning up the train. We'll get on to him in a minute. But
definitely.
You go through, even if he plays in the midfield, he's still got to get past Mahrez, Sterling, Foden, Bernardo Silva, Kevin De Bruyne. I don't know what his first name, but that Torres dude who plays out there. They play a false 9, so even then you still got to get past like Gabriel Jesus.
Yeah.
You still got to get ahead of all these players, and these players aren't going to step aside for Jack Grealish.
No.
And that's why I don't feel like going to Manchester City is his best option.
No.
And that's not saying his best option is to join Man United, because even on
No,
top of that,
no.
you got Rashford, Greenwood, Martial, Sancho.
Yeah.
I just feel like he's currently a big fish in a small pond. If he then goes to, and that's no disrespect to Aston Villa, but if he then goes to Manchester City, he's just a fish in a pond. Like
Yeah.
there's he's going to have to really prove himself even more so to get ahead of multiple Premier League winning players in Mahrez, in Sterling, in De Bruyne. It's just going to be a little bit harder for him.
It'll be a challenge for him if he does go. And I can see why it would be an interesting challenge or something that he would want to do, prove himself against the best players in the Prem and in the world to a certain degree. But I just think there's something there at Villa. I like Dean Smith as a manager.
Yeah.
He's a really good manager. I think they've got the basis of a very, very decent team that can challenge for European spots. They also, I think they're interested in Axel Tuanzebe, aren't they? I love him as a defender. I think he's really good. They get him for the year.
Yeah, definitely a loan. It has to be a loan.
I wouldn't want him to be sold, but
no.
Again, now that we've just signed Varane, which we'll speak about later, and Phil Jones coming back, is he going to get a game?
No,
I don't know. Me personally, I think he will go to City, but I just genuinely think that would be a shame because there's a lot more Villa. There's a lot more from Villa to come, I think.
Yeah,
and I think it would be great for him to be the focal point of that anyway. So,
we go into Brentford. I'll be honest with you, I'm looking at these names and never even heard of half of them. But they've had a lot of players. I know, again, players seem to have to do that coming from the Championship. I think, and I'm not going to go into who they signed because I don't know any of them really. I just, me personally, think they're going to struggle. In general, regard signings or no signings, they're going to rely heavily on Ivan Toney.
Yeah.
And sometimes when new teams come up and they're relying on one player mainly to grab, majority of the goals, I think they're going to struggle. I think they'll give teams a bloody good go and really press some teams, especially the bigger teams, because they'll want to, especially at home as well, they'll really want to, give something for the fans to remember. But early predictions for Brentford, I can see them going back down.
Yeah, I think so too. They did all right against us in the pre-season, didn't they? But again, that wasn't really like a full strength team from us, so you would expect it to
be. And the goals in that game, Jesus!
Oh yeah, some goals, great goals.
Unbelievable. Brighton Hove Albion. Again, obviously Ben White going. They've signed 4 players again. There's a guy called Gary Dicker, which is quite funny. There's only a couple of other players like Jeremy Sarmentino from Benfica. 2-year deal again. I don't really.
No, I've never heard of
know these people. Apparently he's English.
Is he?
Yeah. So he played for Benfica, but he's a former England under-17 international. Came through the ranks.
Oh, okay.
So again, I don't know too much about these players for Brighton. They got a good manager, Gary. They got a very good manager. It's Gary Hooper. Really good manager. Is it Gary Potter? Gary Potter, I think.
Gary Potter.
Yeah, Graham one Potter. Of them. Graham Potter. Yeah, I'll get it right in the end. Football.
Bloody hell.
I don't know with Brighton. Every year I think I always have them to go down or thereabouts.
Won't go down.
I think they'll struggle.
It's what they do with this 50 million, I think. Who can they attract? Again, no disrespect to Brighton. They're not a massive club, are they? They're not going to attract the best names. But I guess when you look at the likes of like Riyad Mahrez, he just popped up out of nowhere and turned Leicester into a title-winning team.
Yeah,
because those players are out there. So if it's just It's just what they do with this Ben White money, I think, that will determine what they do. But I don't think they'll go down. I think they're a better team than that, I think.
Okay. Burnley have signed 5 players. Probably the only one I actually have ever heard of is Wayne Hennessy, who's joined from Crystal Palace.
Yeah, they've let quite a few players go in Palace, haven't they?
Yeah, so Palace have, yeah. We'll get on to. I don't think the page is big enough for Palace.
Only because I've got Sky Sports News on, and I've just noticed that there's quite a lot of decent players that they've let go.
Yeah. Again, nothing major for Burnley, but you don't really see that anyway. You don't really see Burnley signing like really big named players.
Yeah,
they normally sign like either your mid-table Premier League teams, or they go and get like the odd person from the Championship. They don't really knock down.
They'll just buy solid players that can do a job that Sean Dyche wants them to do. Yeah, which is fine. It's annoying to play against, but it's fine.
Oh, yeah, don't get me started on the way they play. Jesus. For me, for Burnley this season, I think relegation battle, but they will stay up. For me,
I'll say a bit better than that. I think. I don't think they'll be in the mix to go down. Okay. They'll just hover above that mid-table to the bottom 3 area, I think.
Okay. Chelsea. Only signed 1 player so far from Fulham, just basically a third keeper. With Willy Caballero getting released, Jamal Blackman getting released, they've needed a goalkeeper. Obviously, there's probably some people going out. So Billy Gilmore, who had a good Euros for Scotland, going out on loan to Norwich. Yeah, and we'll move on to Norwich in a bit. But obviously, 2 really big sellings in terms of Chelsea. So that Tomori has finally gone to AC Milan. Spent there last season on loan. A good young centre back.
Yeah,
and Olivier Giroud also going to AC Milan, who come on the other day for his first game and scored. He does you a job.
He is a good player. Yeah, he'll get you a goal. There's no doubt about that. Very good player. Obviously, the big one for Chelsea at the moment, though, is that they've made 2 bids for our own Romelu Lukaku, with Marcus Alonso in the mix.
Yeah.
What do you think?
And I know it's a different manager, but Lukaku's been at Chelsea before. Why go back there in that aspect of they didn't want you in the first place because you weren't good enough, and now all of a sudden you're showing something, and I'm not showing something, but obviously scoring regularly, and all of a sudden they want you back again.
Say that about Paul Pogba.
Yeah, but I think there's a difference with Paul Pogba, which was Paul Pogba was young, didn't really shine in the youngsters, but it was more his presence in the team that wasn't wanted at the time. I think if you hear Paul Scholes, he says, how he was pushing for first team places, but it wasn't even getting into like the reserve team. I know what you mean. There's always that aspect of it. I just think he's performing really well in Serie A. Winning leagues in Serie A. Does he come to the Premier League where potentially he's not going to be winning the league because of the likes of Manchester City and Liverpool, United, and I know Chelsea will be up there, but for me, there's a better striker out there for the money that they're spending on him. There's a better striker out there. I don't know. He'll do Chelsea a good job. I just don't see it happening. I don't think
it'll happen.
No, I just don't see Inter Milan selling him.
I do. I think if they get that, that's the thing with Chelsea. So they'll obviously go in with a valuation that they would like to pay, but then there'll also be that valuation of the player that they aren't really bothered about paying. So they'll go up that extra. They'll get him. You will sign for him, and I think he'll do well. he just anytime you mention Lukaku, it just frustrates me because I think about the time he spent at United and how he was great for us, scoring the third and fourth goal in matches. He was never your match winner.
Yeah.
We never really got the best out of him, and I don't think he got the best out of the club either. But I think I don't think going back to Chelsea will bother him. I think he will go. I think the deal will be made, and I think he'll do well. And I hope it does in a sense, because then that means with Chelsea going for him and City going for Kane, which we'll speak about in a bit, it frees up Haaland to United next season for a cut price fee. But we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. We move on to Crystal Palace. So obviously you've had to make the odd signing.
Have you got the list of players that they got rid of?
So the list that I've got here isn't as big as I thought it was, but I'm sure it's really like major. Let me see if I can get the full list of it, because what I've got here doesn't seem right at all. Just tell me about here we go, Crystal Palace. Steve got rid of, it's right. So we've got Sam Woods, Connor Wickham, Joel Ward, Patrick Van Aanholt, Andrew Townsend, Sacco, Jude Russell, Jacob Russell, James McCarthy, Alfie Matthews, Rohan Luther, Lewis Hobbs, Wayne Hennessy, Stephen Henderson, Harlem Hale, what a name, Kevin Gonzalez Quintero, I think he's just one name of the video, Cian Flanagan, Scott Dan, Nathaniel Klein, Gary Cahill, Lewis Bryan, and Brandon Paolo Vale Avero, who actually has just won best name of the video.
Congratulations to him. I think the standout one from there is Andros Townsend. He's gone to Everton, hasn't he? He's a cracking player. He's a dangerous little guy to play against. I remember watching him when he was on loan at QPR a few seasons ago now, and he was awesome. On his day, he's shit at him. Yeah,
he's good. And obviously Everton's the next club, so we'll touch upon Everton in a minute. And I've got some views on Everton. I'll get on to Everton in a minute. I won't say what I'm going to say. Right. Yeah, just a lot of people going from Palace, and not an amazing amount of people coming in. No. You know, some youngsters coming in from other clubs, and it's going to be a tough season for them. Rebuilding a team. It looks like Wilfred Zaha's probably going to stay again, because there's no talk about him leaving.
Just going to say, he's not been mentioned at all, has he? Anywhere? I don't think.
And you know what? And it's a shame that it didn't work out for him when he moved to United. But there's something that's got to be said, because when you watch him with Palace, every year he seems to be leaving, but nobody really comes in for him. I think personally, his attitude isn't the best when it comes to this. I think he believes, and great players to have this belief that they are amazing, the best players in the league. But I think there's something that's got to be said when no club is actually coming in for him. And maybe it's just because we're not hearing, maybe clubs we're not hearing about it. But in today's day and age, that's very unlikely to happen. You
would know. He's not been mentioned at all.
Yeah, and I think there's something that's got to be said about it. No,
I don't think he's that good. Wasn't excited when we signed him. Was more excited when he left. Produced nothing for us. There's no doubt in he's a good player, but that is it. He's not a great player. He's not a world-class player. He's a good player.
I think Crystal Palace are really going to struggle this season. Brand new manager, unproven in the Premier League. I hope Vieira does well. I think I said this to you once. It's really strange that maybe our parents and grandparents are watching, who used to watch the Premier League 5-6 years ago, looking at these players going, I remember watching these play, and now we're watching the Premier League and other leagues, and we've got Gerrard at Rangers, we had Lampard at Chelsea, Vieira now at Palace, Solskjaer at United, and Arteta at Arsenal. And going, I used to watch these, and it makes me feel a lot older when I'm watching these players manage now. But you know what? I hope he does well. But I can actually see this being Palace's last season.
He's a big enough name that could potentially attract some decent players to the club and sell the project of Palace to them. But it's just who that would be. I agree. I do think they'll struggle. We shall see.
So now we go on to Everton.
Go on then.
And obviously one of the biggest things that's come out for Everton in the summer was Ancelotti going back to Real Madrid, and then bringing in former Liverpool manager, but more importantly, former Champions League winning manager in Rafa Benitez. And I think a lot of Everton fans forget that he's won the Champions League, and I know it's hard for some of them to swallow that it was with Liverpool, but he's one hell of a manager still. But again, we spoke about Palace. They've got rid of a lot of players. Some of them that we've never heard of, but Walcott's gone to Southampton permanently. Josh King's left again. Yannick Bolassi's gone. Bezic has gone. Bernard's gone. So they've got rid of a few players. And then they've brought in Andros Townsend, Asmir Begovic, and then for me, probably one of the most underrated signings of the window so far, Damari Gray, who used to play for Leicester, but obviously I think he was on loan, and they signed him from Bayer Leverkusen.
Yeah.
My view on Everton is they're not going to be where the Everton fans think and want them to be or believe that they should be. I think most Everton fans have this belief that they should be challenging for the Champions League every season, and that's not,
because they won the title in like 1985. Yeah,
that's not going to happen. No. You don't go from a season and signing James Rodriguez with a former Champions League winning manager, multiple title winning manager in Ancelotti, with Real Madrid and other clubs around the world, and managing top teams, and that's nothing against Benitez, because he's a fantastic manager and has won the Champions League. But he's won it with Real Madrid. He's managed Chelsea. He's been all around the world, managing top sides at the very top level and winning trophies with them all. To sign in Rafa Benitez, who his biggest achievement was in 2005 with Liverpool, and since then has managed in China and Newcastle. No disrespect to them, and then go out and sign Andros Townsend. It just doesn't. I think if I was an Everton fan, I'd be really frustrated. Not with the fact that they've, not that we don't want Benitez type of thing. Just the direct. It seems the club's going in the opposite direction to where they were last year. Ancelotti was coming out saying he couldn't wait to be the first manager at Everton to play in that new stadium that they're currently about to start building. And you think, they can attract some world-class players with Ancelotti being there. And now they've signed Asmir Begovic. I think mid-table. Yeah.
Does anybody else get the impression that Bob doesn't like Everton?
No, it's not, it's not the fact that I don't like Everton, because I think they're the a staple for a team that I like in terms of very fan based. They do, the fans love the club, and I do like that side of it. The own, yes, they've got a majority owner, but Ken Wright's still there. They have the basis of a family-run club in a way, with the fans and stuff like that. It's just, if I was an Everton fan, I'd be frustrated that we're going in the opposite direction to where they probably looked like they could have gone from last year.
Is James still there?
James is still there. I know there was rumours that he could have been going. I think if he goes, they're going to struggle. But again, injuries, he played with injuries a bit last year. I don't know. I think mid-table for them, unless they go out and sign someone major.
Okay. Time will tell.
Yeah. We get on to Leeds.
Not biased.
Again, not really signed anyone major. They got Jack Harrison, who was on loan to them last year on a permanent deal. You know what they'll do? They'll frustrate teams.
It's a tough opening game of the season for us, isn't it? Which we've got.
Oh yeah.
Well, by the way, just to let you know, we've got tickets for the first game of the season. It will be a tough game. But obviously a lot of that comes from the manager. I think he's as much as of a Fruit Loop he is. He is a good manager. He knows his stuff. But yeah, they're not going to attract big name players, I don't think. But they've still got. Is it Rafinha?
Yeah, and they've still got
Calvin Phillips.
What I think he's a cracking player.
Yeah.
Bamford up front, proving many people wrong. Who didn't think after the stints with Palace and Chelsea that he was ever going to do well in the Premier League, and he did last season. So it's a tough game for us. They're going to cause problems, especially with fans back.
Yeah.
As well, you're really going to feel it when you go to Ellen Road now. You know what? They're going to be safe. I could even see them potentially depending on how well they start, and maybe mid-season review that we'll do will prove me wrong. But I do see them potentially could be pushing for not the Europa League, the European Conference League.
Conference League, yeah, that would be. That's an achievement for them. Yeah, I can see that happening. To be fair. Again, I guess with the whole unbiased thing, then we should wish them well. But as United fans, no.
Another team that I believe will go towards the European Conference League, just because of the way other teams have strengthened, is Leicester. And that's all it's based upon, is just the way other teams around them have strengthened, and they've signed Ryan Bertrand. So when you look at them signing Ryan Bertrand compared to other clubs around them, I can just see them probably pushing for that Conference League. Jamie Vardy's not getting any younger, and they can't keep relying on him for goals. And they've got some cracking players in James Maddison, but again, there's rumours of him going to Arsenal. And I don't see them hitting the major heights as they did last year. But then again, you've seen towards the back end of last year, they started to fall off the rails a little bit and didn't get in the Champions League. They haven't really signed anyone major, apart, like say, Ryan Bertrand, and some people have retired and left. But yeah, I just don't see anything major for Leicester in terms of top four.
In the last 10 years, they've won the same amount of Premier League trophies as we have.
Yeah.
There's a team there, mate. I don't think they'll struggle as much as you say they will.
No, I'm not meaning that they're going to struggle in terms of mid-table. I just feel,
mid-table would be a struggle for them, given the fact that they've been pretty much top four.
No, I'm not saying that they're going to finish mid-table. I'm talking 6th or 7th. I'm looking at, like we say, City are strengthening, Liverpool are strengthened, we've strengthened, Chelsea are looking to strengthen. If there's your top four already on paper, Tottenham have got a new manager, but they're slowly bringing some players in. Are they going to get up there? We talked about Leeds being up there, Villa potentially being up there. I just feel that they're going to be sitting in that sort of pocket with Leeds, Villa, and Tottenham, and not in the top four.
Okay, that's fair. That's fine. We'll see how that one goes. That's an interesting one, because I think they'll be a little bit better than that. But yeah, cool. Is it them next?
It is Liverpool next. So they've signed that. I can't remember. Is it Konate or something from Red Bull Leipzig?
Yeah,
centre back, probably what they needed after last season.
Yeah.
Obviously Van Dijk's back now, and Joe Gomez came back as well for them. So these players are coming back. Ronaldo obviously leaving.
Yeah.
On a free, which I was surprised about. I think yesterday Fabinho signed a new contract.
Yeah, I think when players such as him signs a new big deal, it's kind of like signing a new player. I always feel.
Yeah, and again, there's rumours of Alisson signing a new contract as well.
Yeah.
You know what? It might take a bit of time for Van Dijk and Joe Gomez to get up to pace again after not playing that many games last season and being out for most of it. Do I think they're going to win the league? No. And that's not because I think that we're going to win it. But they will 100% be up there.
Yeah, it'll be a complete different season, I expect. As you mentioned before with Leeds, I think Liverpool's fans play a massive part in what they do on the pitch. And now that they're back, I think there will be a difference. They'll be there or thereabouts. I mean, I guess technically they kind of were last season, but then technically kind of so were we. But then we were still 12 points behind City.
Yeah.
So I expect it to be a little bit closer than that, I think. It's going to be a really interesting league, I think. It's going to be tight. I couldn't tell you who's going to win this league. I know you'll probably be thinking City will. But I think there's potentially any one of four easily can win this. And I think it would be very tight. As much as we hate Liverpool because we're United fans, of course, that's what we do. You can't take away from the fact that they're a good team. They've got a great manager in Klopp. Again, they won't spend loads. They'll be looking forward to getting the players back that they spent a lot of time away from. They'll make one or two signings just to boost the squad. And it'll be a different Liverpool team, I think, this season.
I just want to touch upon something here, and I'm not too sure in terms of ages of certain players in Liverpool because, I know they've got Jota, who is only young, only 24. But I don't actually really know the ages of half these players. But, Mohamed Salah is 29, so he's hitting his 30s now. Mane's 29. The thing for me with Liverpool, and you got Henderson who's 31, the fantastic team at this present moment. I think give it 2-3 seasons, and there's going to be a bit of a rebuilding job unless you start bringing some younger players in now, especially in that front three. And I'm not saying 29's old because I'm 27, so I'm in my prime. But football and world, it's in that sort of space, isn't it, where you start getting to 32, 33 and people are going, oh, can he cut it still? I just feel that potentially they may have to just strengthen a little bit in that front three, because I know they've done it, say, with Jota, but you've seen it last year. Jota got injured, Van Dijk and Gomez got injured, and it just seemed like people were going on and on about the fact that Van Dijk was out and they were conceding goals, but they weren't scoring any. Compared to last, Salah was still up there, top goal scorer, but no one else was firing. Yeah. Mane wasn't firing, and Firmino doesn't score he only scores a handful of goals, nothing major. And I feel that potentially that's something that they need to look at, is in that front three, and how else can we boost to that front three type of thing.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I didn't realise that it was. I mean, Fabinho's not that young either, is he? I don't think.
No.
I mean, they're still coming into the prime years, I guess. But I understand. Yeah, I do get your point. There will come a point where they will have to sort of rebuild a bit, but we'll see what happens.
Now on to the other team, Manchester City. So a big signing for them in the summer. Scott Carson's joining them on a free. Massive signing. Obviously, Eric Garcia and Aguero leaving to Barcelona on a free.
Yeah. Fernandinho left and then joined again.
Yeah, Fernandinho left and then joined again. And then obviously we've touched upon Grealish. I think it's now time to touch upon Harry Kane.
I have never lost as much respect for a player as I have
with Harry Kane now.
Yeah.
Yeah, same.
And I think what makes it worse for me is that, all right, it's an international thing, not a Premier League thing, but he's captain of his country.
Yeah.
And the captain of his country should not be behaving like a spoilt little child who's not getting his own way. And that's basically what he's doing.
Yeah, yes. It's disgusting. And like you say, I've lost massive respect for him.
Yeah.
No one should do it. I think it was all in. I think Rio Ferdinand tweeted it out. And you know what? If you want to keep talking about Harry Kane, I'll try and find the tweet from Rio because it summed this up from a different standpoint.
Yeah. On the one hand, you've got Harry Kane, who's captain of his country, been at Tottenham for as long as I can remember, loves the club, loves the fans, but he's being a baby because he's not getting his own way. And then you've got Jack Grealish, he's also wanted by City, turns up for training, respects his club, respects his fans, will probably get his move, and he's doing it the right way. I'm staggered by it, mate. I really am.
Okay, so this is his tweet. So it goes on and on, but the main tweet was, let Paul Pogba not turn up for Manchester United training and see how the English media and fans go mad. Helicopters and police forces search and location immediately. And I'm not saying that Harry Kane and his tactics to leave are wrong, but if we are to believe that's what's being said, Harry wants trophies and he ain't getting any younger. But if that was Paul Pogba, and by the way, who has turned back up for training because he was there yesterday.
Yeah.
For apparently a guy who wants to leave, it's disgusting. It's a disgrace. I think he's, let's just say now, what happens now if he stays? If he doesn't go to Manchester City and he stays with Spurs, then he's ruined, for me, a relationship with that club.
Definitely. I'm just trying to think. Has there been anybody else recently that's behaved that way to force a move? I remember when we won the European Cup in 2008. That was supposed to be Ronaldo's last season. He wanted to go then. Ferguson talked him out of it and got him to stay. He didn't spit his dummy out. He didn't force a move through. He turned up, played for the season. We won the league again. That's what you do. You respect the club that you're at. You don't turn into a baby because you're not getting your own way and spit your dummy out.
Well, Jamie Carragher, so Rio Ferdinand saying not saying Harry Kane's tactics are wrong. Jamie Carragher said, well, I actually disagree. It is wrong not to turn up for training. We all know he wants to go, and I can totally understand why, and I do.
Yeah.
But Harry should not ruin his name, relationship with the supporters who idolise him just to get a move. Spurs will always be his club, and I think, and that's the biggest problem for me is, like you say about Ronaldo. Regardless of anything, he's still idolised by Man United fans. It took a while for Rooney, but Everton fans genuinely like Rooney, and that took a bit of a time as well. And that was just because of obviously different factors. But players leave clubs.
Yeah.
Gerrard left to LA, and these players do leave. Lampard left Chelsea and ended up playing for City for a bit. This happens, but you speak to any Chelsea fan, any Liverpool fan, they love that player. Any Arsenal fan with Henry, they love them because he didn't cause a stir like he has right now. And it'd be interesting to speak to Spurs fans to see what their thoughts are on this.
Spurs fans won't forget.
No, you never do.
No.
But you know what? I'm going to say this: if City go and sign, if City sign Harry Kane and Jack Grealish, then they go and win the league.
I think one or the other will do it for them. I don't think they need an out-and-out goal scorer because I think for whatever reason, it just happened for Sterling at the Euros, and he looked like he could actually play in the middle on his own. And they got players across the park that can score goals. They are my pick. As much as I want it to be us, they are my pick. But yeah, they get both. Certainly, it's you'd be stupid to bet against them.
Yeah.
Can we talk about us now? So we've signed a couple of decent players.
I think I think the top one, Tom Heaton, best player
in the world.
Yeah, Tom Heaton, best keeper in the world.
Let's be honest, played in some pre-season games and has pulled off some really good saves.
Yeah, he's nice. You know what? He's going to be sitting there as third choice because again, it looks like De Gea and Henderson's going to be challenging for that top spot. Obviously, we'll hit Jadon Sancho first because technically, Varane hasn't. We'll hit Varane first because technically he hasn't signed yet. It is subject to personal and medical. So, in deal in principle, as they say, for Raphael Varane. So, and if we have the same track record with Varane as we did with Sancho, it'll take him another 3 weeks to announce him. So,
yeah, that's true. And the deal's going to happen. I've no doubts about that. What a bit of business by the club. He's one of those that you would think that he would command a bit more of a transfer fee than he has done.
Yeah.
Even though he's in his last year of his contract.
Last year of his contract. I was surprised by it because obviously Ramos went to PSG. So they already lost one centre back. So I was very shocked that they allowed this to happen.
Yeah.
In terms of bit of business from the club, I think probably the best part about it, which we've learned from, is actually speaking to the player first in a way to make sure that player wants that move. No poaching involved, nothing like that. We just want to understand that. Does this player actually want to leave, or is he going for a new contract?
Yeah.
And
you mentioned Ramos because that's pretty much what he did. He used United to get a better deal at Real. So I completely get it. The United's whole outlook on transfers this window has been a hell of a lot better than it has been previously. I'm really pleased to see it. To be fair, I think it's a cracking bit of business. I wonder, with him coming in, you would expect it to be Varane and Maguire. What happens to sort of like Bailly and Lindelof and Axel and all the other guys? Is Phil Jones? He's going to have to come back at some point. It's whether Ollie can keep them all happy.
For me, that back four speaks for itself. Wan-Bissaka, Maguire, Phil Jones, Luke Shaw, bang on back four. No, obviously Varane and then Luke Shaw. There was rumours that would go to a back three or back five, so Lindelof could also play potentially, but I think that takes out from your front guys. Yeah. Obviously, Bailly signed a new contract last season.
Yeah.
It's going to be interesting. I know there was rumours of Barcelona potentially wanting Lindelof. It'd be interesting to see what happens in the next couple of weeks. Does he sell at least one of them, maybe two of them, to just create that little bit of space? Because, like you say, you've with Axel and Phil Jones and Lindelof and Bailly, I think you'd be after probably a loan deal for at least Axel.
Yeah.
And let's be honest, as much as he's trying to make out that he's excited to see him back, they'd be looking to offload Phil Jones. He's probably on more money than we probably think he's on, compared to other players.
Yeah.
It is time for him to move on.
It is, yeah, definitely.
I'm sure a team like Stoke City or an MLS team would love a player like Phil Jones.
Is he? So De Gea has, and definitely Phil Jones. Are they the only two players now left in the squad that's actually won a Premier League trophy?
Let's have a look. Man United players that have won the Premier League. Be very, very interesting, this, Philip.
Well, Matic hasn't he? I think he won it with
Yeah,
Chelsea.
are we talking...
I was on about just purely like...
Just with United.
Winning it, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
let's have a look. I want to say you're right. Yeah, I'm gonna say you're right, because it's a really interesting fact which I didn't know until I think I watched us face Brentford the other day in pre-season. Because you would say maybe Tom Heaton, because he was there from 2005 to 2010. He didn't play a single first team game for Man United.
No, he didn't.
Which really shocked me, and I'm not going to lie. I was a bit like, oh, okay. So that shocked me a little bit. But yeah, he never played a single game for Man United in his first. So yeah, you can't even count him because he didn't get any medals or anything. So yeah, I want to say David De Gea and Phil Jones are the last two. Yeah,
that might put 20 million on his transfer fee, then maybe.
Probably. He just doesn't seem to be going anywhere. I'll be honest with you.
It's good to see him back. He's obviously. Let's be honest with Phil Jones. I think he is a good player. There's no doubt. No doubting he's a good player. There was a point in time where Smalling and Jones in the centre looked. They were good. They performed, and we did win titles with them two as your two centre backs. He lost his way a bit, got injured, and was out for such a long time. You just want to see him come back and just. I want him to go somewhere and just do well, and bring all his experience. I do. I feel sorry for him in a way. I remember we went to watch United and City in the Carling Cup semi. Do you remember?
Yeah.
And he was shocking.
Yeah.
He was all over the place. He just needs to find, a bit like Lingard in a way, find a club that can give him that confidence back. And
well, on the subject of Lingard, because I think he's up top quality in pre-season. Does he stay? I think he does.
I want him to stay. I want him to go.
He adds a lot more to that attacking side of it, as does our new signing, Jadon Sancho. Segue.
Nice.
I know. It's like I've learned. So Jadon Sancho, after a year of, which seemed the longest transfer window, transfer malarkey going since Wesley Sneijder, he signed, finally.
Who, Sneijder has, or?
No, Sancho. I'm still waiting for Sneijder. I'm still waiting for him. Sancho's finally signed. I think he's going to add something that we've been missing in that attacking sense.
Yeah.
I'm really pleased with it.
I feel like with the squad that we had, Ollie was forced to play a particular way. I don't believe we'll play that way this season. I think it'll be completely different from us, and he's going to be a key part of that. There's no doubt in his potential. I think the deal that we've managed to get for him is just an outstanding deal for the club. I know I said before about the price for Ben White and Sancho for his age, and he's just an established England international. I think it's a bit of a high fee, but again, like you said, because of his age and
his age and he is English, so that adds at least 20 million, 30 million on top. But the difference between Ben White and Jadon Sancho is Ben White's shown what he could do at Brighton. Jadon Sancho, who a lot of people forget, and I forgot because I didn't think he was like he really shone last season, but he was still in Bundesliga's team of the season last year. And to do that in the league where you've got the likes of Kingsley Coman and these types of big name players in Bayern Munich and stuff probably just proves how good of a player he actually is.
Yeah.
I love the fact that he's number 25, 5+ 5 plus 2 is 7. I just think it's amazing.
Yeah. You kind of think that Cavani will see this season out and he'll go home, which frees up his number 7. So then we'll buy a new striker. And I genuinely firm, I 100% believe, and I've never been more confident on a transfer ever, is that there's something going on behind the scenes with Dortmund and United in terms of Haaland. Next season, there's a clause in his contract that they all they have to do is pay a certain amount, and I think it's like half of what they want for him. I think it's like 70 million or something like that. United are going to pay that, and he's going to come to United. I think the deal's already done. I think that's why nobody's made a move for him. I think everybody knows that he's coming to United next season. That's why City's gone for Kane and Lukaku's going to Chelsea. That's my prediction.
So apparently it does mean that his Haaland's release clause is 75 million euros. But it only becomes valid in June 2022.
Yeah.
Yeah. Apparently so. If that happens, then it'd be amazing. I think even now we can still push up to get to that potentially title winning team. Not saying we're going to do it, but it's going to be a really big season. I think you mentioned it before. If we don't win a title or any trophy, then I could probably see how they going, depending how close we get. If we get to the FA Cup final or the Carabao Cup final and we face City, who've got Harry Kane up front and Grealish.
Mate,
if we finish second,
City. We beat City again.
I know. What I mean is that if we get to these finals and we're facing these top, if we get to the Champions League final and we get beat by, I don't know, PSG or Bayern Munich, if we get to these finals and we face these types of teams with, Mbappe and whatnot, and we just get beat, and I think there's a difference. But if we get knocked out in like the group stages like we did in the Champions League last season, and we don't really get to a final, then that's when I'd call for them to not be in a job.
So, lastly, then to end, I'm just interested to know your thoughts, really, because we mentioned that we're going the first game of the season. Hopefully, it won't be the last, and we'll be able to go a few more. But what's your starting 11?
So it does. I think one position does depend, and it's just in case we go and get another midfielder. Because there's the odd rumor of potentially Ruben Neves or Sal Maguires and that guy from Lille. I can't remember his name off the top of my head. There's still rumors of a potentially midfielder coming in. If that doesn't happen, let's say that doesn't happen, we stick to the team we've got now. I would say goalkeeper is a tough one, but I'm going to go with. It's not at the moment,
is it? Because he's excuse me again. I've got a cold. Sorry. Henderson's out, isn't he, with long COVID issues? So I'm not sure whether he'll be fit for the start of the season.
Yeah, I think if he is fit, then I'll play him.
Yeah,
because I do think he's on a long-term number one.
Yeah.
If he's not fit, obviously then De Gea, Wan-Bissaka at right back. Yeah. Regardless of what the great man Charlie Austin thinks of him, Varane and Maguire at centre back, and probably, let's be honest, the best left back in the world in my eyes, in Luke Shaw. And then my midfield two, because you're going to play two Holden, let's be honest, will be McSauce, Scott McTominay, and Fred, unfortunately. And then I think he plays, obviously, Bruno. then Sancho on the right, Pogba on the left, and Greenwood up front.
Oh,
Yeah,
right,
but
okay.
that's purely based upon the Greenwood one is purely just based upon at this present moment he's had a bit more pre-season than Cavani. They might be struggling with a bit of pace. Leeds as well. Try and get behind them with a bit of pace. Yeah, that's why.
Okay.
Yourself?
Myself, yeah, depending on the goalkeeping fitness and stuff, I think it will be Henderson in goal. I think De Gea is going to be number 2.
Yeah.
I want to go for something a little bit different. I want to go 3 across the back.
Okay.
Varane, Lindelof, Maguire.
Yeah.
And then you've got Shaw and Wan-Bissaka as your wing backs.
And can Wan-Bissaka play right wing back after what Charlie Austin said about him?
I don't know. I'm surprised he's not retired after the crushing insults that's come from. That's a tit. That guy is an absolute tool.
Honestly, we won't tangent off this like very too much because I do want to get on with my day. But the best defensive right back in, if not, definitely the league, if not some of the best like
top
defensive
2
right backs in the world at the top. And Charlie Austin says that he can't defend.
On his first game back after pre-season.
Yeah, he can't defend.
I can't defend. All right, Charlie.
Anyway, go on, carry on.
So who have we got? I've got Henderson, I've got Maguire, Lindelof, Varane, and I've got Shaw and Wan-Bissaka.
Roberto Carlos.
And then I've got Donny.
Oh, okay.
Pogba. No, it doesn't work.
It doesn't work, no.
Get them all in, no.
No, you have to take Lindelof out.
Take Lindelof out. Go back to a back 4. We've got. You're holding the field that is going to be. It's going to be Donny because I think you've got because Maguire and Varane are so good going forward with the ball. Yeah, okay. I've not thought about this at all, have I?
No.
Pogba, Fernandes. You got to have Sancho on the right.
Yeah.
You're going to have Greenwood on the left.
Okay.
And Cavani will play up front.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Don't know. Yeah, I've not thought about this, have I?
No, you didn't know.
I didn't. Poor Donny.
Poor Donny.
When to play?
Obviously, like you say, we've there's other teams that have made some great signings. Watford are back up in the Prem.
Yeah.
Norwich haven't really made any major signings, but they're going to get goals with Timo Pukki.
Yeah. Some signing your contract at Tottenham. That's a good deal.
Yeah. Is it Christian Romero signing for Tottenham as well? I don't know too much about him, but they're bringing him in. Raul Jimenez back at Wolves after injury hit season. So it's going to be an interesting season.
It is.
The only one there's only two things that I'm certain of in the Premier League every year is Norwich will go down because they do every time they come up. And I do think also Brentford will go down. So I think it will be Norwich and. You know what? I'm going to say my early prediction for my relegation 3. I think it'd be Norwich, Brentford, and Palace. And then my top 4, I don't know what order yet, but my top 4 will be United, City, Liverpool, and Chelsea. Yeah.
I can't argue with your top 4. But relegation, I'm not quite sure. I don't know. Brentford and Norwich, probably.
I'm more certain of there's like 3 things certain in life, and that's honestly that's like birth, death, and Norwich getting relegated from the Premier League. Like honest to God, like every year they just come up, they get the money, they go back down, they come back up, they get the money, they go back down. It just happens.
Sorry,
it
Adam,
pays for
you're watching.
it pays for Delia's restaurants, and that's all that matters.
So we shall leave it there. Thank you very much, mate. Good to speak to you again and do another episode of Cheap Shot Culture. I've been Phil Taylor. He's been Bob Ricks. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you soon.